The Cavaliers took care of business. They're now 6-0, so on to the Nuggets and the Timberwolves. Bob, what are you looking for in this rematch of last year's second round?
All right, I'm gonna concede my time to Perkins.
Oh, you are?
My buddy Kendrick.
Oh, fine.
Let me ask you a question. Look, Denver, this series last year, this Minnesota-Denver thing, that was a real series. Yeah. That was an intense series. You ever lose to a team like that? Did it linger into the next season?
Absolutely.
So this game, Denver, they circle this.
They should want to get their lick back, especially Jamal Murray. We got to remember, right? When we think about that series that took place, they had Jamal Murray throwing a temper tantrum. Remember, he threw a heat pack at the ref. He was that frustrated because Jay McDaniels and Anthony Edwards was frustrating him. Like, that's how we got to keep a close eye on that. And also the matchup with Rudy and Jokic. Remember, Karl Anthony Towns, he was guarding Jokic a lot, playing good defense on him.
Yeah, it's interesting because this is you think about that answer and you look at Denver and you say they didn't plan on getting knocked out in the second round. And remember that we're missing him tonight, but the guy on the far right, he said Minnesota was going to sweep Dallas. And he was wrong. Of course, he was wrong. So he can't defend himself. He can't defend himself. But if you're listening, Stephen A., if you're watching, predicted a sweep. But anyways, this should be a great game tonight.
It really is going to be a great game. We're going to see who can sort of figure out their identity a little bit earlier in the season. Both of these teams sort of trying to find it right now. That's going to do it for us. It's time to get you over for tip-off. We will see you at halftime.
The NBA on ESPN is presented all season long by State Farm. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Welcome, everyone, to Minneapolis, Minnesota, where in the last 24 hours, temperatures dropped down to about 30 degrees. They had some snow flurries. Winter is coming. Tonight at the Target Center, a sellout crowd expected at the home of the Timberwolves. As we welcome you to an NBA Friday presented by State Farm. This one a rematch of last year's wild Western Conference semifinals that the Timberwolves won in Game 7 on the road. Tonight they're home. Two of the elite big men in basketball, the three-time NBA MVP from Serbia, facing off against his counterpart with Minnesota, the four-time Defensive Player of the Year from France. It's Nikola Jokic and Rudy Gobert, Nuggets and Timberwolves once again. And good evening, everyone, with Richard Jefferson and Doris Burke. Mike Green on hand, Cassidy Hubbard with us as well. This is a fun early season matchup. Both teams come in 2-2, kind of find their way in the early going of the season. Doris, let's start with Minnesota. Obviously, they made some changes. What are you seeing from the Timberwolves?
I think if there's one area of concern, the stingiest defense a year ago has regressed a little bit. But the reason you make that change is because this young man took a major step towards stardom a year ago in getting them to the Western Conference Finals, career highs across the board. He's added the wrinkle of high-volume three-point shooting, but you recognized you needed to support him with playmaking, bucket-getting. Enter Julius Randle, who's been everything they expected offensively. If they can get the defense right, they're formidable.
All right, Richard. Meanwhile, for Denver, they lose their first two games at home. Now they won two on the road. What have you seen from them so far?
Well, they're still trying to figure out. Since they won the championship 2 seasons ago, they've had significant drops in talent, losing key players along the way. KCP, Bruce Brown, Jeff Green, but they've added some young players. They've added a veteran in Russell Westbrook. So now can they figure it all out and get back to their championship aspirations while they have that window with Jokic?
Well, let's take a look at tonight's starting lineups, brought to you by Icy Hot. And for the Nuggets, as Richard said, their starting five has been excellent. Of course, Christian Brown now a starter for Michael Malone. And for the Minnesota Timberwolves, there's the man number 30, the new starter, Julius Randle, alongside the other four that made it to the Western Conference Finals last year. A fun atmosphere now here at the Target Center. We just had a stirring rendition of the national anthem by a woman named Ginger Commodore. How can you go wrong with a singer named Commodore?
Well, she crushed it. She crushed it. They had the whole place jumping, ready to go.
And both these two teams ready to go. It's been a wild week for Minnesota. The other night they played the team that eliminated them in last year's playoffs in the Western Conference Final. Tonight they play the team that they eliminated in that crazy Western Conference semifinals.